Chairman NEFFIE QUINTANA is here.
Mr. Chairman, this note might be a little shabby, so.
Our own.
I thought I'd make some notes last night, and my typewriter broke, so I just printed it. I hope they're legible enough for all of you. And this is not just for commissioners, I think it's for everybody, it's just a suggestion. I've seen commissioners come and go throughout the years, because I've been here quite a while. And some of the ideas that I've picked up are from other commissions, other states, including New Jersey and Nevada, and throughout the world. And people like Mr. Romero here, who has a fighter, they pick up different ideas when they go to other commissions also. And if they bring them to us, I think it's going to better this commission, it's going to better our organization. Now, the reason I mentioned number 2, match fighters properly, is because we don't have insurance. You place the referee, especially the referee, in jeopardy if you match people improperly. Mismatch is the worst thing that can happen. If I have 2 fighters out there and one's getting the heck right out, right up from the beginning, I'm going to stop it because I don't want to be liable, and I don't want you to be liable. I don't want anybody to be liable. So this is the one thing we have to be careful about. And I know you are, but once in a while they'll slip up, and we have to be aware of that. And the fans pays to watch a good fight. And I don't care if they have a favorite here, they still want a good fight. They don't want somebody to just walk over somebody. We can afford being sued. Use your influence in the legislature. I remember when I was executive secretary, George and I spent a lot of time in Santa Fe, on our own time, our own money, talking to legislators. Now, this being a year when there's an outcry to change the DWI and make big changes, this is our time, I think, to make some changes in the boxing. Because the reason I say this is without a promoter, you have no boxing. If the promoter doesn't make money, hey, that's it. You're not going to have any boxing. We should work a little harder on it. Give free passes to officials on closed circuit. How many officials are involved? Not very many. And if they do this in Nevada, they do this in New Jersey. Even if you give them a general admission pass, it's good to have them there, because if something comes up in the fight that's controversial, they can talk about it right then, and it's a learning situation for everybody. That's why the barricade. There's a reason. Now the other page, let's see, what else do I? It's mostly for officials, but it's for everybody. When you recruit young people, I'm 65 years old, some of us are getting older, and I think it's time to bring up some new blood. I suggested to your brother, Louis, that he referee, because he likes boxing, he's young, we need this type of person working as a third man in the ring. 2, okay. For a referee, attend the knocked out fighter. Now, some of us still have old habits. We raise the hand of the winner. Hey, he doesn't need that. He knows who won. Everybody knows who won. Attend that fighter that's down there, take his mouthpiece off. That's the first thing you do. And then his his trainer will come in and take care of the rest, the doctor, whoever. But he is the one that needs your help. I'm talking to referees now. A doctor made this statement in the last convention I attended. He says that don't delete the water from a fighter. He needs water in his system. Without water, you have more cavities in the cranium, in the brain area. That means that you cannot absorb the punches. I worked Holyfield Cowie fight in Atlanta in 1986. And he almost died that night because his kidneys wouldn't function. Now, none of this came out in the media, but because he was in such good condition, he survived to Evander Holyfield. But he almost died that night because he tried to dehydrate or keep the water away. So this is something The trainers, I'm sure Mr. Romero's aware of that now. But in the old days, they said, just rinse your mouth. Take the guy well, you know, Louis, we had a problem with that one, lack of water. Water is very important for a fight. And that's the reason I bring it up. Prevent dehydration. Okay.
Finest week of our lives, and you're going to make it that way. Hey, you know, there's a young man who is a fighter in this town, Danny Romero Jr. We talk a lot about him, and recently he got in a fight and he got head-butted and it wasn't feeling too well. Well, he's had 7 outstanding bouts right now, and he tells us he's on his way to a world championship. Well, a friend of his, Dan Cisneros, who's got a boxing show on Cable 27, he has kind of documented every move Danny has made, and he's going to air it on television tonight. Let's bring on Danny Cisneros right now and find out literally what he has in store for the sports fan tonight. Dan, how you doing today?
Good morning, Henry. How are you doing?
Fantastic. You've got something special on cable television tonight that we need to know about. What is it?
Oh, man, it's going to be fantastic. Cable Channel 27 tonight in Albuquerque. The 8-Count Boxing Hour is going to show all Danny Romero Jr.'s first 7 pro fights.
All right, then how are you going to present that? I mean, how did you get this videotape? Where is this coming from? This is exclusive stuff, is it not?
That's right. The first 5 fights are actually home video, which are coming from the Romero Library, and they've given it to me to work with, and I put it together. We're going to have a little interview clips with Danny Romero himself, and then he'll kind of introduce the fight, and we'll go right into his fight. It's going to be... You don't want to miss this if you're a boxing fan, because you got 5 first-round knockouts, 1 second-round knockout, a broken nose, a fractured jaw. I mean, guys are just left in the ring. This kid from Albuquerque he's very exciting, and he's really heading to the top fast.
All right. Now, your program is on Cable 27. Tell us a little bit about your show for those of us who have not seen it yet.
Okay, well, it started about a year ago.
Wait, what's the name of it again?
It's the 8-Count Boxing Hour.
8-Count Boxing Hour, okay.
And the 8-Count is what you get when you fight Danny Romero.
All right, tell us more about your show.
Okay, well, it's kind of open to the public. I mean, we get all the local boxers and their managers send in videotape footage. Sometimes I'll take my camera out there to the gyms and we'll get them sparring. Local amateur shows, kickboxing shows, I'll take the camera down and the promoters let me in the door and videotape it, and I put it together, and we interview the local fighters. I've had some big names on there. I've had Michael Carbajal, Luis Espinoza, Primo Ramos, Frank Pena, as well as the local fighters, Danny the Pitbull Perez and Rudy Bad Boy Lovato. I'm just trying to get everybody I can, and you know, if there's any boxers or kickboxers out there that want to be on the 8-Count Boxing Hour, give me a call or drop me a line, and I'll do anything I can to get you on there.
Okay, but tonight's show pretty much focuses on Danny Romero Jr., and you've seen this young man in video, and you've slowed it down, and you know his technique by now like the back of your hand. What is truly the most effective part of his game?
Well, let's see. Watching Danny Romero, and I'm not just saying this, this is the truth, this is really the way I feel, and if you watch tonight, you'll see he looks like a young Mike Tyson. When Mike Tyson was first coming up, watch the style of Danny Romero. He has devastating power. I mean, he is the most powerful fighter I've ever seen in this area. And the thing about it is not only his power, but he had 132 amateur fights. He's got incredible hand speed, beautiful technique. I mean, everything comes natural to him. You'll really be impressed. And I think the more he fights, like his last fight, he had a heck of a time. He had a battle. That's what I wanted to see, because he's got to find out that when someone's going to fire back on him, you know, we have to find out, can he take a shot? Can he, slip the punches? What happens when he gets headbutted or hurt? And he showed well. He came back and knocked the man out. So as far as the best part of his game, I would say it's his punching power with both hands. He has power in both hands, and that's what makes him real special. All
right. Will there be any discussion tonight about the weekend big show with Julio Cesar Chavez and Greg Haugen?
No, this fight, or this show is already laid down on tape.
Okay.
You know, it's been done from way back. And to fit all 7 of his first pro fights on one show, I had to really squeeze it in tight, you know. But talking about Saturday night's show, what did you think, Henry? Did you catch it?
Well, I think Julio Cesar Chavez is on his way to his destination. He wants to be 100-0. I think he will accomplish that mission. He is too much for anybody that gets in the ring for him, especially Greg Haugen.
Oh, absolutely. Haugen had no business in the ring with Julio. I kind of figured that going in. You know, Haugen had never been stopped. And Julio just played with him. I mean, he could have taken him out. He could have pressed the button any time. He could have pulled the lever, and the hole in the floor would have opened up, and Haugen would have fell through. He was on his way out anytime Chavez wanted him. But as far as reaching 100...